All right, so picture this turquoise water, white sand, beaches, those lush green landscapes. We're talking Phuket.
Just pretty idyllic.
Oh, it definitely is. But today we're going a little deeper than just like the typical postcard scenery.
Deeper into Phuket.
Exactly. We're diving into their luxury real estate market, specifically this really cool development called Gardens of Eden. And what's really got us interested is how they're trying to like redefine luxury living with this sustainable twist. And it seems to be working. They're attracting families from all over.
Yeah, and what's really interesting about Gardens of Eden is how they're not just, throwing in a few solar panels and calling it a day. They've really gone above and beyond to be eco-conscious from the get-go, even partnering with environmental experts to design things like, get this, underground roads to minimize emissions.
Underground roads, that's wild. I mean, talk about preserving the natural beauty. But okay, before we get too far ahead of ourselves, let's set the scene a bit. We're talking about Phuket, but specifically the Bang Tao area. It's like the heart of luxury development right now.
And when you have properties going for something like THB 100 million per ray.
Yeah, that's got to be, what, like a quarter acre or something?
Right, a ray is about a quarter of an acre.
So we're talking millions for basically a quarter acre plot. That's wild. I mean, it really highlights the demand there is for a slice of, well, Fouquet's paradise, I guess you'd call it.
You could say that again?
And Gardens of Eden is right there, offering this whole new perspective on luxurious living. It's not just, over-the-top opulence. It's about being mindful of the environment, too.
And that's where their commitment to having 70% green space within the development really comes into play.
70%. So it's not just about plopping down some buildings and calling it a day.
Nope, they're really trying to integrate nature into the very fabric of the community.
It's like they're creating a luxurious oasis inside of paradise, which I guess Phuket kind of already is. But it's interesting, they seem particularly focused on families looking for a change of pace, not just retirees looking for a vacation home.
Yeah, and they've really thought of everything to make it family-friendly.
Oh, absolutely. They've got the wellness centers, the fitness trails, kids clubs, even waterfront units coming in their final phase. It's pretty impressive.
Oh, and did we mention the water park?
Oh, right, the water park. But that's not all. They're building that with sustainability in mind, too, right?
Exactly. Using some really innovative technology to keep water and energy usage down.
I think they're using some kind of super high-tech filtration system. Reduces their water footprint significantly. It really shows how they're weaving those sustainable practices into everything, even the fun stuff. But speaking of, the people behind it, who are the developers.
So Gardens of Eden is actually being developed by a Dubai-based firm.
Really? I hadn't realized that.
Yeah, a mall development.
Wow, that's interesting. It really shows you the global reach of this market. But it's not just international investors, right?
Absolutely not. The domestic market is also a huge factor in Phuket's real estate boom, especially buyers from Bangkok.
Why is that?
Well, the Bangkok market, while still strong overall, has hit a bit of a slow period recently, particularly in the luxury sector. So developers are looking elsewhere for opportunities, and Phuket is a natural choice.
So kind of a if you can't go up, go out sort of thing.
Exactly. And the numbers really drive that point home. Our research indicates that over the past year alone, Bangkok developers have poured over THB 100 billion into Phuket's real estate market.
THB 100 billion. Wow. That's a clear sign that people are really drawn to what Phuket has to offer. But even with all this investment, what makes Gardens of Eden stand out? Why are people so drawn to this development specifically?
I think it goes back to that unique blend of luxury and sustainability that we were talking about earlier. They're really tapping into a growing desire for a more conscientious way of living, even in the luxury space. People still want the beautiful homes, the vibrant communities, but now they also want the peace of mind that comes with knowing their lifestyle isn't harming the environment.
So it's not just about having a luxurious getaway, but investing in a way of life that aligns with your values.
Precisely. And that's something that today's buyer finds really compelling. It seems like Gardens of Eden understands this shift in priorities, and they're betting big on it.
And it sounds like that bet might just pay off. But before we get into the potential impact of this development, let's take a quick break to gather our thoughts. So we're back. And before the break, we were talking about how this development, Gardens of Eden, is really tapping into this desire for sustainable luxury.
Yeah, it's definitely a growing trend.
It is, but it's one thing to, say you're eco-conscious, but it's another thing to actually walk the walk. So what are they doing at Gardens of Eden that makes them different? What sets them apart?
That's a great question because, honestly, a lot of developments, they claim to be green, right?
Right. Yeah.
But Gardens of Eden, they're actually backing it up with real concrete actions. We talked about the underground roads
Right.
designed to reduce those emissions.
Yeah.
And then the water-saving technology in the water park.
Huh.
But it actually goes even deeper than that. For example, they're using local and sustainably sourced materials whenever possible in the construction.
Oh, right. They're using that, what is it? Some special kind of bamboo
Yes. Bamboo.
in the buildings.
Exactly. Which is, as you know, incredibly fast-growing
Right.
and sustainable.
Yeah.
And they're using that as a key building material.
Interesting.
So that reduces the need for traditional concrete and steel, which have a much bigger environmental impact.
I see. I see.
And then on top of that, they're planting a ton of native trees and plants throughout the development. And that's really to help restore the biodiversity, create more of a natural habitat. So it's not just like...
Yeah, it's not just a development, right? It's like they're actually trying to blend in. Yeah.
Exactly. Trying to blend in seamlessly with what's already there.
It's amazing how they're taking, these ideas that we think of when we think luxury and figuring out ways to weave in these sustainable practices. And I feel like that's really resonating with a lot of people, especially those who are looking for a change, a healthier lifestyle, and one that's, better for the planet too.
Yeah, and what I really like about it is that they're not just selling properties.
Right.
They're selling that connection to nature.
Yeah, that sense of responsibility too that kind of comes with it.
Exactly.
And that's something you really, how do you put a price tag on that?
Right. It's definitely a premium. And it does make you wonder, though. Gardens of Eden, it's a very high-end development, clearly. Yeah. But could this kind of approach, could this trickle down to more affordable housing?
That's a good question. It's interesting to think about, because we've seen that happen with other trends, right? What starts out as maybe like a niche thing,
Totally.
Exclusive, eventually maybe becomes a little more mainstream as time goes on. But for now, it seems like Gardens of Eden is definitely positioned to be a real kind of trendsetter, at least in that luxury market.
Absolutely. And I think their success could have a ripple effect.
How so?
Well, if they can prove that, sustainable luxury is not only possible, but that it's actually, highly desirable.
Right.
It could encourage other developers to follow suit.
Right. To kind of get on board.
Yeah, exactly. Get on board.
So almost like they're setting a new standard, not just for luxury living, but also for responsible development as a whole.
Exactly. And it's not just developers who are taking notice.
Yeah.
Phuket itself is benefiting from this whole, boom in sustainable tourism.
Oh, interesting. Okay.
The more people that come to experience this type of eco-conscious luxury, the more it boosts the local economy.
Yeah.
And that encourages further investment in these sustainability initiatives.
It's like a win-win.
Exactly. It's a win-win.
Mm-hmm.
For the developers, the residents, the island itself, everybody benefits.
That's great. But I am curious, with all this talk about sustainability, eco-consciousness, is there any concern that this development might be pricing out local residents?
That is a really important question to consider.
Right.
And it's something that needs to be, very carefully managed as Phuket grows as a luxury destination.
Right, because we don't want to create a situation where paradise is only accessible to the wealthy.
Exactly. Exactly. And that's why it's so crucial for developers and local authorities to work together.
Right.
To make sure that the development benefits everyone, not just a select few.
Right. So it's about finding that balance and making sure that everyone benefits.
Absolutely.
Well, it sounds like Gardens of Eden, while being this, really fascinating example of what sustainable luxury can be, it also kind of highlights the challenges and the need for this kind of mindful development as we move forward.
Very much so.
Okay, so to kind of recap what we've talked about, just how hot the real estate market is in Phuket right now. We've talked about what makes Gardens of Eden unique, this whole trend of sustainable luxury. But before we wrap things up, I want to circle back to something you mentioned earlier about Gardens of Eden kind of, potentially impacting the way real estate development is done in the future.
Yeah, I definitely think what they're doing it's groundbreaking.
So let's maybe unpack that a little bit as we move into some final thoughts. So we were just talking about the potential for a place like Gardens of Eden to really shake things up.
Yeah, disrupt the industry a little.
Do you really think it could change the luxury real estate market that much?
Honestly, I think it could be the start of a huge shift. Luxury, for a long time, it's been all about extravagance.
Bigger, better, more expensive.
Exactly. But I think we're at a turning point. Buyers, especially those younger generations, they're so much more aware of their impact on the environment. They want something different.
They want it all. A beautiful home, of course, but one that doesn't cost the earth, literally.
Exactly. And that's where Gardens of Eden is really clever. They're proving that you don't have to choose between luxury and sustainability.
Yeah, you can have both. So it's almost like Gardens of Eden is a kind of test case, right?
Sort of a litmus test, yeah.
Because if they can show that this model is not just, doable, but that it's actually really profitable.
Oh, it could completely change the game. You'll see other developers, not just in Phuket, but all over, they'll want to get in on that.
It'll be like eco-conscious design that's just the new standard.
Exactly. It'll
Yeah.
be expected.
Wow. Okay, so imagine this luxury real estate, but done sustainably.
It's not just about looking good or even the ethics of it. It's about creating communities that actually work with the environment, not against it.
Right, leaving things better than you found them. So to bring it back to what we've been talking about, it's not about sacrificing luxury, it's about redefining it.
100%. And Gardens of Eden, they're at the forefront of that. They're showing that a more sustainable future for luxury living, it's not some far-off dream.
It's actually within reach. So for anyone listening who's maybe thinking about, I don't know, a new home, a vacation place, or even just, a change of scenery.
Maybe a little bit of paradise.
Exactly. Gardens of Eden. It could be a glimpse into the future of luxury living.
A future where sustainability isn't just a nice-to-have, it's the baseline.
I like that. A future where luxury and sustainability go hand in hand.
Exactly.
Well, on that note, I think we've reached the end of our deep dive into Gardens of Eden and what's happening in the world of luxury real estate in Phuket. Hopefully everyone listening has a few things to mull over. We'll see you next time, but until then, keep exploring and keep asking questions.